Commander. This video will teach you the Greetings, Commander. This video will teach you the basics of moving and maneuvering your ship in World of Warships. A ship is a complex machine. Your effectiveness and survival in battle depends on your maneuvering skills. Today, we will try to make this task easier for you. Press W to start moving forward. In World of Warships, you don't need to constantly hold the key to keep the ship moving. Controls are based on the engine telegraph concept. You can select one of the forward speed values, quarter, half, three-quarter and full speed ahead, as well as reverse. You can increase the speed by pressing W a corresponding number of times. Press S to decrease the speed. Once you've selected the desired value, the ship will accelerate and then continue moving at the present speed. A ship's maximal speed and dynamics depend on its weight, displacement, the engine power, correlation between its weight and engine power, and the hull shape. Even the lightest destroyer weighs several hundred tons, while battleships weigh tens of thousands of tons. No wonder that such giants have incredible mass inertia. First of all, you must get used to the fact that accelerating and decelerating in World of Warships takes a while. You won't be able to sneak behind an island, shoot, and quickly withdraw. Additionally, speed and maneuverability are seriously impaired when moving in reverse. Remember, movement means survival in our game. A stationary ship is an easy and priority target. It is important to keep moving and change course to make it difficult for the enemy to target you, to evade torpedoes and aviation, and, of course, to avoid collisions with islands and allied ships. Having selected the movement speed, you can now focus on maneuvering. Press A to turn left and D to turn right. The main thing to remember is to prepare your turn in advance. A big moment of inertia impairs a ship's maneuverability. The radius of the turning circle largely depends on the linear dimensions of the ship, length, width, etc., the shape of its hull, and its rudder gear. The longer and narrower your ship, the bigger its turning circle radius, and vice versa. The wider the hull, the smaller the radius. As a result, the turning radius of the long but wide battleship Yamato, which is one of the biggest ships in the game, is comparable to a much lighter but narrower destroyer. Remember that as soon as you release the turn key, the rudder returns to its central position and the ship continues moving straight forward. Again, it doesn't happen at once. The ship needs a certain amount of time to return to a straight line course. This property is called directional stability. Ships with a smaller turning radius relative to their dimensions have worse directional stability, and vice versa. The game has a collision alert system, which looks like this. After receiving an alert, you will have some time to change your course and avoid collision. Remember that slowing down will not decrease the turning radius significantly. The game has an autopilot function that is intended to make it easier to control the ship and allows players to focus on firing. Press M to open the tactical map. Click the left mouse button to set a waypoint, or hold Shift to specify up to 5 waypoints that can be changed freely at any time. The movement speed is set to half by default if the ship is stationary. If the ship is moving, it will continue at this speed, but it may be adjusted without cancelling the defined itinerary. Full stop, reverse movement, or any change of the rudder position will instantly disable the autopilot, and you will have to set waypoints from scratch. When specifying your course, take into consideration the specifics of your ship and the actions of your teammates. For example, even the heaviest battleship will have a hard time fighting off enemy destroyers and aviation without the support of cruisers. Autopilot allows you to set a course between islands and focus on firing your artillery. But this is the topic of our next episode. Greetings, fellow captains. Today is the second episode of our video tutorial on how to play World of Warships. Last time we showed you how to control the ship and execute maneuvers. Now it's time to learn a few tricks about firepower. Every ship carries an arsenal of guns, ranging from heavy cannons to anti-aircraft guns. Tier 6 battleship Fuso, for instance, carries 106 guns. How do you manage such assets? Usually ships carry three types of armament. Primary armament for fighting against heavy armored ships such as battleships and cruisers. Secondary armament, which works well against swift and unarmored targets such as destroyers. And anti-aircraft guns, which are quite good for shooting enemy aircraft. Most of the time you'll be using your primary armament. Use the shift key or the scroll wheel to switch to binocular view. First, check out the indicators. Their number is equal to the number of primary armament guns or turrets. Use the reticle to aim at the target. The green indicator means the gun is ready to fire. The bright orange indicator means the gun is turning to the target. The dim orange indicator means the gun cannot be aimed at the target. The red indicator means the gun is disabled. A similar color scheme is used for the ship status panel. The line under the reticle is the reload indicator. Use the mouse to fire. Click the left button to fire the guns one at a time, starting with the first gun that was loaded and pointed to the target. Click one more time to fire the next gun. Click and hold the left button for sequential fire, with all available guns firing one after another. When you click the middle button or the scroll wheel, the gun is fired and the camera follows the shell. Double-click to fire a full broadside, all available guns firing simultaneously. The game features automatic target lock, which makes aiming easier. The enemy will be marked with a white circle in the camera, but not the reticle will start following the ship. Learn how to maximize your ship's firepower. Before firing guns, position your ship correctly relative to the target. As an example, Tier 3 cruiser St. Louis carries a primary armament of 14 guns. When the enemy is directly ahead of St. Louis, only one gun can aim at the target. Just a slight change of course allows 4 guns to aim at the target. Change course even more and fire a full broadside of 8 guns at the enemy ship. Don't forget to look at the ship status panel from time to time. It'll show you which turrets are ready to fire and help you adjust your course to make the rest of the guns available. To use the ship's firepower to the maximum, turn perpendicular to the enemy ship. You should consider, however, that this maneuver will also make you an easier target. As soon as you have decided on the line of fire and sight angle, you can lock them with Ctrl+X. This will allow you to look around to perform a maneuver or check for lurking enemies without the guns swiveling to follow your view. Press X to reset the lock. Your guns will stay locked in one orientation, but you will still have to adjust the reticle to aim accurately. Now you are ready to fire. This feature is particularly helpful for rotating turrets that can fire from both starboard and port. Try not to get carried away while firing in binocular view and lose track of your surroundings. Another enemy could sneak up on you at any moment. From time to time, click and hold the right mouse button to keep your guns in place while you look around and assess the situation. This will help you avoid colliding with allies and islands and evade approaching enemy torpedoes in time. Naval artillery combat may be conducted at long distance. The main guns of battleship Yamato have a range of 14.3 miles, 26.5 kilometers in the game. A shell takes 20 seconds to cross this distance. The target may easily leave the impact zone during this time. To have any chance of hitting, you have to lead the target and fire at a point where the ship will be when your shell arrives. Calculating the lead is not an easy task. Try firing a single ranging shot and watching where it falls. Adjust your aim, and then unleash a full broadside. The game features 2 types of ammunition: armor-piercing, AP shells, and high-explosive, HE shells. If your target is a well-armored cruiser or a battleship, fire AP shells at its hull. They have a good chance of penetrating the armor belt. If they do, they will explode inside the ship, inflicting serious damage. However, AP shells will pass right through the hull of an unarmored destroyer or the superstructure of any ship, causing virtually no damage at all. That's where HE shells come in handy. They're capable of causing extensive damage to any lightly armored ship. Also, if the enemy armor is too thick for your AP shells, HE hits may set the target on fire, thus evidently decreasing its survivability. The modules affecting a ship's combat capability are divided into two groups: external, those located outside the hull, and internal. External modules include primary armament turrets, secondary armament guns, anti-aircraft guns, and torpedo tubes. If you damage or destroy the enemy's weapons, the enemy won't be able to fight back. Internal modules include the engine and steering machines. Destroy those, and the enemy ship will lose maneuverability and become an easy target. Finally, the quickest way to sink a ship is to detonate her ammunition magazine. The secondary armament works automatically. It targets the nearest enemy ship heading towards you and having the least hit points. Or you can set a priority target manually by pressing Control and clicking the left mouse button on an enemy. The icon denoting secondary armament priority will appear above the targeted ship. If the specified ship leaves the effective range of your secondary armament, the batteries will automatically switch to the nearest adversary. Making the most of your secondary armament is important. Guns with caliber of 150mm and larger use AP shells, whereas smaller guns fire talk about how to prepare for battle, including how to fine-tune your ship to better suit your playing style and improve its combat qualities. In other words, we'll talk about the port and its importance in the game, and also give you some tips and tricks. In the port, you can access loads of useful information on any ship in the game. On the right, you can see a ship's parameters panel. Here, not only can you learn about a ship's speed characteristics and combat qualities, but also explore its modules. To examine a ship's module in detail, click the left mouse button on the camera icon near the module. A naval ship is like a crowded city with beautiful and sinister architecture. In the heat of battle, you probably won't have time to admire it, but when you're in the port, you can explore all the little details. Click the right mouse button to go back to normal mode. In World of Warships, you can thoroughly explore even those ships you haven't yet had time to research or purchase. Take your time and pore over the top models in the tech tree you're striving after, the 10-tier ships. Just open the tech tree and select the ship.
Autopilot mode enabled. Battle starts.
G-force sighted on the horizon.
Destination reached. Autopilot mode disabled.
Team is taking the lead.
Autopilot mode enabled.